So I had this thought that came to mind about the Americanization of spirituality, the self-help industry. I follow and watch someone called Kaya's World, and Kaya's channel actually introduced me to someone named Rachel Hollis. And then it kind of was a window into there was a brief time when I was studying a lot more about all the law of attraction and manifestation and quantum physics stuff so like Tony Robbins. I also read a lot of Marianne Williamson back in the Dizzy. I discovered Eckhart Tolle before Oprah did. So I found at one of Eckhart's first editions of Power of Now back in, I think, 2002, 2001, maybe 2002, hardback, and I wish I had that copy. Anyway, so self-help industry, the Americanization of spirituality, and I think why more and more of us are maybe finding a lot of it all really like triggery, in as far as the propaganda of the American kind of economy and the way people sell ideas, sell themselves, and they manufacture celebrity, right? So I think the distortion that I'm increasingly picking up in the world of all the self-help stuff is that it's just more of the same thing with different words attached to it. So it's all for show. I think that's kind of a part of it. And the way I'm picking up on the media manipulation is that we then literally, in a very kind of real way, we sell our soul, we sell our spirit, as in our authentic self, to be like that, to be like other. And I think increasingly as well, the well-being industry or the self-help industry is also, it's almost like the more beautiful it is, or the more perfect or shiny or glamorous, the more is there a shadow, the more is there a mask that we might be covering up. And let's be real around the fact that these are actors. These are people that are selling a brand and selling a lifestyle and selling a ticket to an event or whatever to juju people up with a bunch of spin words, right? And a fair amount of money to back the ability to create those events in the first place, just to sell more. It's an industry, remember, right? You have to capitalize on people's attention. But just like we're finding with a lot of big business, big corporation, if we as a society and our economy perpetuates the bottom line and like profiteering, it's always going to be intertwined with ego. And something about the American population is that no, that's not true. American, all of us to a certain degree. So there is, to me, something quite distorted and problematic about the need for more. A bigger house and a bigger car and more stuff and more clothes and just so think of it this way too. The moreness is almost an aspect of the shadow of the lie of self-help. And although I also want to honor truly the fact that everything has value. Even like the ick, even the wretch of violence and greed and horror, there's value in it all, in as far as what we're learning as a species and how we're growing through that learning. I just like to noodle on things. By noodle, I mean philosophize, think, deduce. Like, what is this great mystery? Because that's another thing too that gets me, is that this is a mystery. We are all, and I think part of the of like this time is just there's so much information. Everybody's right. Everybody's got to be an expert. Why? Because we live in a shitty false economy, which means everybody's kind of grasping and trying to survive like some sort of parasitic insect energy. And yet true contentment and peace is found within, and that's the fundamentals of the teaching. So that's part of the distortion of a lot of the propagated self-help stuff, is that it's not addressing the fundament. It's basically saying, here, I have the answers, which negates the fundamental teaching of this whole idea of self-help, is that you can do it yourself. We can support each other. Again, none of it's right or wrong or good or bad. I just always want to permission people to look within. And instead of studying other people and buying other people's stories about what life is, try to like work it out for yourself, right? Like question things. And I think as well, like especially the stuff that's selling stuff to us, remember that's a big part of the goal, if not the goal. So all of our lack and all of our unworthiness and a heck of a lot of our shame is actually attached to the lifestyle of greed and the lifestyle of having to have more. So it'd be interesting to continue to watch things kind of crumble and fall a little bit around. So here's another thing that it popped into my mind around. When you look at certain peeps, you can kind of suss the energetics around like how much ego is involved, because what you have to imagine is take it all away. Take away the status, take away the money, take away the celebrity. Who are these people? Imagine them. Would they be nice to strangers on the street? Would they be kind to people with less than them? Would they be... And often is the case, no. That's not their prerogative. Their prerogative is their fame. Their prerogative is their own self-aggrandizement. Their prerogative. Only because I've been through my own little journey in this world of online marketing and can see through my own journey that a lot of what we seek, or a lot of what we try to achieve in these human bodies, is very ego-driven. It's about pleasing our parents. It's about being important in our society. I say this because it's completely honest with regards to why do I share here. One, it's enjoyable for me. Two, it comes from a place and a time of like, maybe I could have a go. Maybe I could make a voice for myself, right? Maybe I can make a business out of it. And I'm really, really grateful, but I'm no longer in alignment with that stuff of like, this is how you do. This is how you manifest. There's certain things that I can share about my experience that are obviously my experience, so they're true for me. And if they resonate, they might be helpful for you. But, finding well-being and pretending like that is somehow superior, and that is a big part of it, that superiority stuff. And I remember thinking or speaking to somebody recently about a shame and the poverty, like as in the different emotional stuff that comes through going through difficult times, and the fact that not everyone has those imprints, but some people do. And then again, you flip it around, and how would certain types of people behave? And that's where we start to have a real sense of people's character. Think of certain politicians or people in our world. Take away the money. Who are some of these leaders if they don't have money and clout and status? Old farts, old folk. And that's a beautiful thing. I do believe that we need elders as leaders. But, compassionate ones. And that's another token piece. Is I'm like, what the heck? How do we get to this point as far as, is it just me, or to me, leadership is about genuine care and consideration for the people it's leading, not stealing from the people you lead and lying to them, right? So there's that kind of base corruption. And then I think of real honoring leadership. And this is also part of that distorted gack that we're all possibly sidestepping as far as the shadow work that needs to be done, and is being done, I dare say. But we prioritize and we sort of the idol worship construct is also, to me, quite distorted and troubling, because we seem to value the people that are exhibiting almost the ugliest form of that, and exhibiting that gluttony and that greed and that need to be seen, that very, very edgy sociopath, kind of narcissistic, so if we're living in a climate crisis or a trash crisis, and you're living a really wasteful life, or there's extraordinary humanitarian crises and problems, and then you're talking about parties and all this affluence. And I saw a post about that too, that there's so many layers of our society that kind of remind me of the Hunger Games. And I've been getting that a lot too. Like, I increasingly just find opulence and lotsness, like people who are like, look at my big house and look at all my shoes and look at all my stuff. I find it almost distasteful. And here's the thing about power and leadership, is that we always want to be like, oh, they care, like these people care, that's the message they want to send. But they don't care particularly about their audience, about the people that follow them and buy from them. They care about themselves. Like, they care about their own power and their own stuff. That's why they share what they say. They want to show you, like, the power that they can wield and that they can have. And it's not true power. It's a kind of usurped coup kind of thing that I find a lot of the people in power. That's part of why there's no integrity and why there's so much corruption, is that a lot of that power hasn't been excavated via the sense of source or the sense of that unified heart center. It's like plugging into something and siphoning it, but not telling the source that you're plugging into it, and pretending to everybody that you're connected to source, but you're actually connected to their power because they're connected to source and you're not, or something like that. So yeah, I guess I recognize our human evolution actually comes through our own individual relinquishing of having power over, and actually knowing the true worth of power beyond materiality. And as that value system changes, I think as a humanity, we will naturally embrace positive leadership and role models. And saying that, there will be, I think, a place for a lot of what is mainstream and celebrity oriented, but I think increasingly people might see that distortion. Because I think most of us from a different lifestyle background or heart-centered vision, when we look at that, there's no desire. There's, like, as in, we don't want that stuff. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to live like that. I don't want that stuff. It's fair enough. That's what's popular. And that's still what's being sold and propagated to, and again, an enslaved humanity. But it's like, and I have compassion for people in those situations. I just realize that we need a big change, and that following people that just want more stuff so that they can be special or important. But that's only my interpretation. That might not be true. And who am I to judge? And then I consider, as long as I'm projecting that onto others, that's taking me away from projecting my own life into the future. And I guess sometimes what I reflect upon is like my own path in like having spiritual awakenings and renouncing spirituality, and then, renouncing materiality, like essentially a large majority of my adult life, not really like letting myself have stuff, have a lot, that is. And I don't want lots. It doesn't feel comfortable for me. However, the comfort of not living in survival mode and actually permissioning myself and like any orphan energy to like have a home. We all deserve a home. We deserve to be here, let alone like mansions or this or that. I don't think the majority of people give a shazam. And again, I think increasingly as the world becomes maybe more awakened and turbulent, that a lot of people will have rude awakenings, and that, again, I say this with so much compassion, that our value systems are changing and they'll continue to change. And as those value systems change, who we look up to, who we want as our figureheads, that will change too. And so people that are empowered, like, those are cycles that ebb and flow. So we can always remind ourselves that just because people have lots now, or people are in power now, that doesn't mean that's how it's going to roll out. And I guess I just get this sense of, like, I just want to keep living in peace. And I'm so grateful, I guess, to have tools that allow me to access that peacefulness. Because it is a choice. I know that's annoying. But it is a choice, and without even realizing what we're addicted to is our own thoughts and emotions as an inset to everything else that we think we're addicted to, or we think we want, or we think it's a kind of maze, or a neuroplasticity, right? It's the neural pathways in your mind that are anchored in a certain mental emotional pattern. That's why we meditate. That's why you practice all this stuff, is to pay attention, right? Most people, don't even want to feel the physical body, let alone paying attention to what I'm thinking and feeling, and let alone trying to change it, right? I recognize that as I can carry on in this life path, is that this is increasingly still new, and more people are coming to manifestation teachings, and more people are trying to work it out. And often is the case, it's the bypassing. That's what we come up against, right? And so it's like cheating on a test isn't going to help the cheater in the long run, right? It's the same with shadow work. Trying to bypass your own shadow doesn't get rid of it. That's, I think, the beauty of all this stuff, is, like, at this certain point, you just got to let people do them. We don't control, we don't have a say, we just got to create our own worlds and hopefully enjoy the process. I mean, that's a big part of it. Just enjoy the process and stop expecting so much from the external. Although the external world is a beautiful thing, right? It's just that I think our humanity is coming from that perception where we gave the physical external world all the power, and that we're just these clumsy, gross meat suits, right, that die. But that's actually, we're all eternal creators, love is supremes of the Most High. You guys, I'm getting distracted. I'm gonna go. Thanks for listening to my little noodle share and philosophical ramblings. Feel free to share, put a comment, and do all that good internet-y stuff that helps us small businesses and online entrepreneurs who do care. I have no desire for great power in regards to, like, status in the world, but I genuinely care for the well-being of the humanity, and I think that's the juice of life, and that's where a lot of, like, this spiritual stuff comes from, is just people who really, really care and have been doing emotional alchemy and shadow work their whole lives, right? Because of the constellation and the familial dynamics that we were born into. I would say a lot of the empath community just did shadow work, because this is all you knew what to do, is to process the emotion. So that's it. I'm out. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. I probably won't do any updates until next Monday, so feel free to comment, share, like, subscribe, join the Patreon community. Top tier patrons get little yoga vids and a lot of, like, this free first access ad free. And yeah, you guys just are my friends, and I appreciate you. Love you loads. Have a great weekend. This early couple weeks, first few weeks, we've just come over the hump of the Capricorn new moon, so I'm feeling kind of jujued up, and I feel like that Capricornian energy is going to really help to kind of scooch us along and stay grounded in the presence of the vision we have for our individual and collective future. Have a good one, you guys. Look after yourselves. Love you loads. Take care. Peace out.